Just held on to it. And then my dad's dad is from Mexico.
Okay.
Ya boat ini alun ya bus di. Biasa.
That were used to bring political prisoners here. But according to the regime's policy, there were only black prisoners brought to Robben Island. But a man of my skin color, I would be considered African. But there were also Indians as well as coloreds on Robben Island. Coloreds are those that are of mixed race, according to how we were classified. No, there's no more seats. Yeah, it's full. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, as I was saying, those were the classifications here. But there were also white prisoners, white male political prisoners. They were sent to Pretoria, which is close to Johannesburg. And there were also women prisoners as well. But women were taken to different parts of the country. And it all had to do with the laws of racial segregation. But of all the prisons, I mean, throughout South Africa during that time, it's Robben Island considered to have been the worst of all. And later you will experience that, as the inmate will share with you what they went through on the side. Mind I ask, where is everyone from? We have visitors from England,
South Africa,
and
Spain,
from Holland, from Spain,
from Switzerland,
American,
Nigeria.
from England. You're from Nigeria, with a South African accent. How does that work? Wales, South Africans. Wales. And we have visitors from Wales, and Great Britain. All right, are you all enjoying South Africa so far?
Yeah. Very good.
Yeah, it's a lovely time of the year. We're in our mid-autumn, but approaching our winter season. We've had a beautiful summer. But you know, seasons change. It is most natural. But so far, I hope you are all enjoying the weather. We have absolutely no complaints about South Africa so far. And you're not going home anytime soon. Did some of you attend the royal wedding who are from England?
we went.
You were not invited. Well, you know, it's not a bad situation. Some people say they didn't miss out, those who enjoyed the public holiday. Were you in Africa that time, or were you still back home? You were working. This is a nice way to relieve all of that stress. You know? Come to the right place. Let me sit. I'm going to multitask. It's not only women that do that.
We'd like to see.
Sit behind the wheels, and in between I'm going to share the tour with you. Ask as many questions as you would like, folks. And throughout the sites, if you want to take photographs, feel free to do so. Okay.
Thank you.
This is a picture of those prisoners who were political prisoners that the first batch brought in 1966.
The stone on the wall here, it is called the Blue Slate. And those prisoners who came here in the early years, they had the responsibility to work in the Blue Slate quarry to help build the prison building, even including the renovations of the house and building the visitor cell as part of hard labor. It took them about 2 years of hard work helping to build their own prison. But you'll understand more about that later in the prison. Can you all see the emblem in front here written Robben Island? It is a Dutch word, known as a kraam. There's a grave inside this building. It's a grave of an Indonesian prisoner. These were prisoners brought here during the Dutch colonial period in the mid-1600s. We were once a Dutch colony, and then later we were occupied by the British. But amongst the earliest prisoners brought here, it was from the late 1650s under Dutch rule. So we had South African prisoners and some that were also brought from various Dutch colonies, including slaves that were also brought from various parts of the world, and some removed from the African continent. So these were prisoners that helped to establish Islam in South Africa. There's quite a few of these buildings you'd find in the surrounding areas of the city. Of these are considered to be of holy Islam leaders that helped to establish their faith. So it's only during the apartheid era that we also had Islam prisoners with the Islam Society of Cape Town that proposed to help to build this structure in the late 1960s. And they've now put together an exhibition. It all shares about what happened here in between the centuries. So just a matter of interest, when you are done with the prison tour, you can go inside the building and have a look at it. Because you'll all... Yes, folks, these are the graves. This is where people that died of the leopard disease and other related sicknesses were buried. But it is documented from as early as 1840 up till about 1932 that we had Robben Island mainly used for lepers. But prior to that, there were political prisoners and slaves that were brought here between both colonial masters, Dutch and British. You've seen the houses as you were coming across. The two gentlemen that you see walking up there in front, those are former prisoners. They happen to be part of staff working for the museum, and they are also here living with their family. Law, he was to be kept in solitary confinement for an indefinite period. Those were some of the terms and conditions. So for those who were held here, even the time when Mr. Mandela came, a year after, none of them were allowed any contact or any form of visit for Robert Sebukwe. And we are talking of a 6-year period that this man was kept in isolation by himself. He could move around freely here. He had a small garden. He was even later allowed to study through the University of London, where he did a commerce degree, long distance. But, you know, he was a well-learned man, you know, because even prior being brought here, as he was appointed head of the PAC, he had to resign from the Wits University, Witwatersrand in Johannesburg, as head professor in the African Studies department. And the government knew very well that he was articulate and he was a visionary as to how they described him. But within the time that he was here in the 6 years, there were medical conditions, reports, that he was diagnosed with cancer. And therefore the government decided to release him from Robben Island, but to transfer him to the Northern Cape in our Diamond City, which is known as Kimberley. And that's where he was further placed under house arrest. It was still continuation of this indefinite period. This leader died in Kimberley under house arrest. He died 9 years later. So in total he had spent 18 years in prison, but it was only 3 years that was official for his activities that he was involved in politically. But the house is... Alright folks, just for about 5 minutes we'll be able to go inside just to see the entire space. But this is a photo with the members of parliament. Just taken to a mental aside. They said there was something wrong with him mentally. There was no way that a white South African would have executed the Prime Minister at that time, who was seen as a role model within the white community. So we are going to go inside and see the house where the children slept. You'll also see some photographs of them.
Thank you.
now they are in their late 50s. I mean, I'm just they came back from exile in 1953. So yeah, staying in their late 50s or so. So these are the photos of the kids in the orderly fashion of the beds. All this material that you see here, the newspaper articles, the eldest son helped to put this together because it was all kept collectively in their family's home in Krafrene. So in collaboration with the Robben Island Museum, our heritage department. So they've all have this is all part of an educational program for school children. Because for generations to come, they will have to understand of such leaders, the role that they played, in our liberation struggles. There's so much you can read about, and there's so much you can share with you. But the problem is always the time. Because you all still have to go to the prison. Yeah, so these were later converted into dog kennels.